Chapter 66. Mazen. Mazen threw the lamp to the ground and pressed his palms to his eyes. We came all this way for nothing. The realization pulled him back down into his despair. No matter what happened, he would still come out of this a criminal. There was nothing waiting for him outside. His father was dead, his home overtaken, his brother vanished, and his title gone. He sat there shaking for a long time, lungs tight, body tense. Though the minutes were unmeasurable, he had the impression that a significant amount of time passed before he finally raised his head. It occurred to him that Luli had not returned. After some hesitation, he picked up the useless oil lamp, rose to his feet, and headed for the entrance. He made it only a few steps when he noticed the man sitting on a nearby heap of sand, silently watching him. Omar. Mazen forgot how to breathe. One of Omar's brows inched up far enough to wrinkle his forehead. Salam, Mazen. He rose and dusted off his clothing. You're as pale as a wraith. Run, said a voice in his head. But another voice, one that did not speak in words, urged him to stay. This voice was black and fuzzy, and so loud it blocked out reason. How was your adventure? Omar said. The static spilled into Mazen's vision. He saw Hakim fleeing from rioting soldiers, his father lying on bloody bed sheets, Omar wearing his face drenched in the Sultan's blood. How droll. You normally more talkative. Omar paused, feet away, hands clasped behind his back, shoulders lifted high like a general's, like a sultan's. Let me tell you what happens next, Mazen. First, you will hand over the lamp. Second, we will return to Medine, where you will be tried for your crimes. If you do not obey, I will kill the merchant. He smiled after delivering the instructions, the same charismatic smile he wore in court. It made Mazen see red. How dare you? The words came through the dark static buzzing in his mind. Omar blinked at him, smiled. You'll have to be more specific. And it was that smile, that God-damned grin, that broke Mazen. Reason fell away. There was only that black, humming voice and the urge to destroy. He moved without thinking, lunging towards Omar with a scream. The world collapsed into darkness, rage, desperation, and a sorrow so deep it painted everything a soulless gray. And then, sharp pain in his gut. He registered Omar had punched him in the stomach. He staggered backward, wheezing. All this time, and you still don't know how to fight, Aki? Omar punched him again, this time in the face. Mazen tasted blood in his mouth as he fell. When Omar reached for him again, Mazen grabbed his arm and dug his nails into his skin. You lying snake! He dug deep enough to draw blood. He relented only when Omar twisted his arm, when something cracked. Pain shot through his shoulder, so terrible it made him scream. There were tears in Mazen's eyes when Omar stepped away, holding the stolen lamp in one hand and concealing his injury with the other. You killed our father, and for what? You gained nothing. Do you truly think that, Mazen? Omar laughed, a soft, hollow sound. Unlike you, I have never done anything without reason. I have simply taken what was rightfully mine. He leveled his blank gaze on Mazen. That old fool was going to name you Sultan. Mazen's heart plummeted to the soles of his feet. The static cleared, replaced with a memory of his father seated before him in the Diwan. Who has ever heard of a prince who doesn't know how to use a blade? You hold the weight of a kingdom on your shoulders, Mazen. You cannot protect it with good intentions. No, he said weakly. Yes, Omar scoffed. As always, you are too blind to see what is right in front of you. You do not deserve Medine. And you do? You are a coward. Something flashed in Omar's eyes, but Mazen pressed on. You killed our father and blamed it on me. Omar did not respond. He approached slowly with all the foreboding of an encroaching storm. He pulled his hand away from his wound, revealing the smear of blood on his arm. It was black. Mazen's breathing hitched. He'd forgotten about the black blood, the same blood that had run through his veins when he was in Omar's body, that had run through Imad's. Aisha had called it a side effect of the bangle. He'd believed her. You have it all wrong, Mazen. It is because you are the coward that I could pin this crime on you. Mazen was barely listening. He was still staring at the blood. Human blood was red. Jinn blood was silver. Black blood. Omar's arm shot out. Mazen felt cold fingers on his wrist and icy heat in his veins. Something shimmered unnaturally on Omar's ear. His earring? Mazen gasped as the world faded into a canvas of muted colors. Beneath it, Omar's voice was a barely discernible whisper. If only you knew, Mazen, how terrible our father was. The colors reshaped themselves into a crystal clear image of the Sultan who loomed above him. Look at your hands, he commanded, and he had no choice but to obey. His hands were covered in black blood. His blood. You have the blood of a sinner in you, the Sultan said. You are a blight on this world. Each word was like a lash of a whip. There is only one way to remedy this. He crouched down and grabbed his chin, forcing him to look into his eyes. They had the same eyes. He'd always hated that they had the same eyes. Show me you are not like her, the Sultan said. The jinn are monsters. Kill them. And me? His voice, Omar's voice, was soft, weak. Am I a monster? The Sultan shoved a black dagger into his hands. He recognized it. It was the dagger the Sultan had forced him to soak in his blood. Jinn blood can heal things, he had said. Let us see if your tainted blood can destroy them. That has yet to be determined. The Sultan pointed at the knife. If you are not a monster, you will do as I command and slay the jinn. Do you understand? He swallowed. I understand. The memory dissipated, and Omar stood before him again, smiling. Only this smile was not coy or twisted. It was despondent, pained. If you would blame anyone for this, Mazen, blame our father. He told me once that the only way to rightfully gain something was to steal it. This is nothing personal. Omar hauled him up to his feet and out of the chamber. Phantom colors still danced before Mazen's eyes, an after-image of the vision he'd seen. It had to be magic, but he didn't understand where it came from. He glanced at the black knives on his brother's belt, the ones Mazen had used to decimate ghouls with only a strike, and at the smudge of black blood on Omar's arm. You have the blood of a sinner in you. The words hung over his head, an axe waiting to fall.